Thanks for stopping by this edition of Seattle Seahawks Today. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. And on today's show, we are talking trade targets. I got 5 players that are on the trade block right now across the National Football League that the Seahawks could potentially make an attempt to trade for prior to the NFL draft. We'll go over the full list in just a matter of moments. But first, if you want the Seahawks to make a trade, it's not something they do too often. Like today's video, make your voices heard loud and clear for John Schneider and Mike McDonald that you want movement. You want to see this team rock the boat a little bit and see some change. If you want to trade, like the video, we'll get started with today's show. Let's begin with Matthew Judon of the New England Patriots. And the Patriots, it's no secret, are just a hot mess, right? If the season started today, they would probably have the worst roster in all of football. And so Matthew Judon, a guy that's right in the middle of the prime of his career, just simply doesn't fit the timeline of the New England Patriots. And so they could be taking calls potentially to move on from Matthew Judon. If you add Matthew Judon to this Seattle Seahawks defense, it would move mountains. It would move heaven and earth. The floodgates would open with adding Matthew Judon to this Seahawks team. He is one of the best players in football at his position. He's right in the prime of his career. I'm a huge Matthew Judon fan, and his impact on the game, I mean, every time he's on the football field, it is noticeable. It is a difference that he makes. And you go back even to last season with the Patriots, prior to the injury that he had, he alone felt like he was kind of keeping the Patriots in some of these games with how well he played along with that New England defense. 4-time Pro Bowler as recently as 2022. Still not really that old. 2016 fifth-round pick by the Ravens out of Grand Valley State. You can never have too many pass rushers. The Seahawks could certainly find a way to use Matthew Judon. He would become your premier pass rusher. You look at the statistics. In those 4 games before he got hurt, 4 sacks, a sack in each of those games. The year prior, 15 and a half, 12 and a half the year before that. Matthew Judon's incredible. I would love to have him on my team. It wouldn't be cheap to pull this off, but this would be a difference for Seattle, I think. So let's ask you, should the Seahawks trade for Matthew Judon? It's our pinned comment today. Y for yes, N for no. Chime in the comment section. Tell us what you think. Today's show is sponsored by GameTime. GameTime, the best place to go for last-minute tickets, for the best seats, and the lowest prices guaranteed. Prices, as the event gets closer, drop. It gets cheaper and cheaper. So if you wait till the 11th hour to decide to go to that Mariners game or go to that Kraken game, you're going to be okay. You can have your tickets just like that within a matter of moments, folks. Very simple. With Apple Pay, Google Pay, Venmo, all major credit card providers. You pick the event you want to go to, pick your seat, see if you like that seat or not, maybe look for a flash deal, and then bam, just like that, you're getting your tickets on GameTime. And that's not all, folks. We're offering $20 off your first purchase when you use the promo code CHATSPORTS at checkout. Download GameTime today. Terms and conditions to apply. Promo code CHATSPORTS to save $20 off. You'll be glad you did. Start saving with GameTime today. Tell them that Tyler Jones and Seahawks Today sent you. You'll be glad you did. Let's go to the corner position where Marshon Lattimore is on the trade block from the New Orleans Saints. One of the better corners, rather, in all the National Football League. And you may be saying to yourself, wait, we already got Rick Woolen. We already have Devin Witherspoon. Where does Marshon Lattimore fit into the equation? The majority of 2023, the Seattle Seahawks were using Devin Witherspoon in a nickelback role. Okay? He was a lot better than the band was at that. I can tell you that much. But it allowed him to kind of be free-flowing, to be a freelancer of sorts, and put him in a great position to succeed in that Seahawks defense. Honestly, I don't see any reason to move Devin Witherspoon away from the nickel. If he's playing that well at the nickelback position like he was last year, keep him there. And then you can go get a guy like Marshon Lattimore to be on the opposite side of Rick Woolen, and all of a sudden you might have the best cornerback room in the National Football League. Lattimore, a former first-round pick out of The Ohio State, 4-time Pro Bowler as recently as 2021. He has been very good over the years. One of the few bright spots, really, for that New Orleans Saints defense. Last year, played in 10 games, had 48 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 8 pass breakups, and an interception. You go back to 2021 when he had a total of 19 pass breakups and 3 interceptions. Lattimore still a very good player. Let's head to the nation's capital. That's where we find Jonathan Allen at this position. Jonathan Allen, I like a whole lot. Jonathan Allen, a very good football player. And you add a guy like Jonathan Allen, here's the type of change we're talking about here. The Seahawks defensive line right now is one of the weaknesses of this Seahawks team. Just being honest with you. I think most people know that. You add a guy like Jonathan Allen to this group, things all of a sudden change. It goes from a weakness to a strength of this team. That's the type of impact you're talking about with Jonathan Allen, the former first-round pick out of Alabama, a 2-time Pro Bowler as recently as last year. And you talk about consistency. He's had 5 career seasons with at least 5.5 sacks. So he's been there, done that, continued to play at a high level. The statistics from him, 5.5 sacks last year, 7.5 the year before that, 9 back in 2021. Jonathan Allen's a good football player, and I think the Seahawks would be lucky to have him on their roster if they decide to make that move there. If you had to choose between the help in the secondary or the help on the defensive line, which one would you go with? Would you go with Marshon Lattimore? If so, type M for Marshon Lattimore. If you'd go with Jonathan Allen, type J for Jonathan Allen. Which one would you rather choose? Let us know what you think. M for Marshon Lattimore, J for Jonathan Allen. Weigh in the comment section. Tell me what you think. We are talking about your Seattle Seahawks each and every day on Seahawks Today with daily news and rumors. We're counting down to the draft. We're talking trade rumors, free agency. It's all right here in one place, right here on the channel. We got our live shows as well. If you're a diehard 12 and you want to know everything there is to know about this team, you got to lock us in here on Seahawks Today. Join the family of 51,000-plus subscribers here on the channel. We continue to grow. We got a movement going here on Seahawks Today. Would love to have you a part. Subscribe now for the best Seahawks coverage around. You'll be glad you did. All right, let's go with another defensive lineman here. This is where we find Derrick Brown from the Carolina Panthers. And I like Derrick Brown a lot myself. He's a young player that is ascending. The term, what do we call it, upward mobility? That would be the case when it comes to Derrick Brown. And I think, honestly, if you don't know Derrick Brown because he's been with the Carolina Panthers, that's okay. But if you get to know Derrick Brown, you read more into him, this is a guy that I think has the potential to become a superstar in the National Football League. Pro Bowler this past season, an all-rookie team selection back in 2020, the former first-round pick out of Auburn. Derrick Brown's the real deal. I think that this would be a huge difference maker for this Seahawks team. The numbers don't even tell the full story here. Last year he had 2 sacks, but he just dominated inside, and he took on a lot of double teams on that just awful Carolina Panthers team. Ended up with 103 tackles, 7 tackles for loss. Derrick Brown's a good football player and would be a good fit for what the Seahawks need on that D-line. Who's a player the Seahawks should trade for? I got one more name I'm going to get to here in a moment, but want to hear from you guys first. Weigh in, tell us a player that you'd like to see in Seattle in 2024. Last one on our list is Juwan Johnson from the New Orleans Saints at the tight end position. You look at Juwan Johnson, and here's the thing. This is more for me about need than it is necessarily about Juwan Johnson. It's no secret that the Seahawks need another tight end for the vertical passing game. With what Seattle wants to do with this air raid scheme under Ryan Grubb, you got Noah Fant there, and that's nice. You got Pharaoh Brown as a blocking tight end, but you need one more tight end to really just kind of spread out this offense a bit and make everybody a vertical threat. Juwan Johnson could be that. He's had a nice career, undrafted out of Oregon back in 2020. Career high of 42 catches, 508 receiving yards, 7 touchdowns in 2022. Decent amount of experience, 50 games played, 29 starts. Juwan Johnson, not a bad find, and I don't think he's going to cost you a lot either. I think he would be a potential cheap trade option for Seattle here. Last year, Johnson had 4 touchdowns, close to 400 yards receiving. We mentioned his numbers the year prior. Not a bad player at all and could be a good fit for what Seattle's wanted to do to be that number 2 tight end of sorts there. So if you enjoyed today's show, you want to see the Seahawks make a trade, like the video. We certainly would appreciate it. We'll see you next time right here on Seahawks Today.